Hello everyone and welcome back to Agent Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video I'm going to be continuing with my Beasts of Chaos army series past the Age of Sigmar army archive, and this is going to be part 8 of their series where we'll be looking at their battalions. So we'll be looking at what I like to call the sort of standard Beasts of Chaos battalions and also their God Pacific ones as well. We'll cover in this video. I was tempted to do an own video for them, but I think you can really sort of include them in this one, to be honest. The other thing to mention in this video is that it will be basically one continuous recording, how I did my I am a wargamer video, which went up as the last video up, as a few people said that it'd be quite nice if I was to do that sort of style with myself in the corner, as you can see, in a regular video format. So what I decided to do is do that for this video, as I would call this a standard sort of video I do, and just see how I get on and see how it sort of feels. So any feedback on that would be great if you prefer it like this, or how it's usually done where there's sort of like more editing involved. So as we go through in this video, there will be unit cards up. Now they are a little bit different to the last unit cards I've done, but they're the same sort of format. It's just done a little bit differently because it's battalions, it's hard to manage it. Okay, so with that aside, let us go into our first battalion, which is going to be the Marauding Brayher. So what I usually do when I cover these big army series is I go through a lot of lore of whatever I'm reviewing. However, as I've covered so much lore now for the Beasts of Chaos, I really feel like if I was to keep on talking about lore in this video, for example, about the battalions, I would really just be regurgitating stuff I've already mentioned. So if you would like to know more about lore for the Beasts of Chaos, please check out my Beasts of Chaos lore video for that specifically. But anyway, back to the review. So the Marauding Brayher, it's going to cost you 180 points, and I understand that some of the writing may be a bit small for you, because essentially what we've got here is just photos I've taken on my phone and uploaded them to my computer, but I will be reading out all the information for you guys anyway, so don't worry. So the organisation. So a Marauding Brayher consists of the following units. So 1 Beast Lord, 1 to 3 Great Bray Shamans, even 2 to 6 units of Bestigors or Tuskor chariots in any combination, 3 to 9 units of Gors, and 4 to 12 units of Ungors, Ungor Raiders, or Centaurs in any combination. So if you're a little bit new to battalions, don't worry, it doesn't mean that you have to take up to, like, I don't know, 12 units of Ungors. It's just you need to take a minimum of 4, and you can take a maximum of 12. Okay, so quite a lot of unit variety there, but actually going in to see what they do. So their ability is Ferocious Despoilers. So this is add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Brayher units from this battalion that was set up on the battlefield during the same turn. Okay, so my overall thoughts of this, and if you're just quickly skimming through, you can see I have got, like on the other unit cards, a summary of positive and negatives on the right. You can quickly read if you'd like to. But what I would say with this battalion, the main reason behind it is you use it to help you with the ambush mechanic you have in your Beasts of Chaos with your Brayher units. If you really want to be able to do that, set up turn 1 or potentially, turn 2, depending on your sub-allegiance, this will help you get those charged off. It doesn't mean that a guarantee, but it will help because you can add 1 to the charge rolls. And obviously, if you're in range of your hero, you can do the reroll for charge as well for the command point. So it's good for that. It's also good because you can make a 1-drop army out of this. You would be, like compromising some sort of unit choices, obviously, if you wanted to go with 1-drop, because there's not really anything else in here bar, Brayher units. But you could do it. And then the other thing to say with this is obviously, like I said, it's only Brayher, and it is, I would say, quite expensive. And I know 180 points isn't too bad, but it's not the cheapest either, is it? And the ability you're getting is, it's one of those where if you get it off when you need to, when you set up, it's great. It can really change that turn for you, can't it? Because it's got you that charge that you need to when you set up. But if you don't get the charge off when you set up, it's pretty much useless. Apart from some scenarios where you can reset up units and stuff, this ability is only going to come up when you set up your unit. So if they fail to get the charge off when they're set up in that turn, then tough luck. This battalion is kind of wasted. So for me, it's 180 points. I mean, you do get an artifact as well, obviously, with battalion, you get an extra artifact, an extra command point. I would say Beasts of Chaos, they don't have bad artifacts, but unless you're going for really specific situations, there's not enough artifacts, I would say, in the book that make you go, oh, I must have, you know, these 3 artifacts minimum. I wouldn't really say that, so you're not like crying out to get the other artifact. Obviously it's lovely and there's some good ones out there, but it's not, you're not really determined to get it, especially with sort of units from this battalion, I would say. So it's one of those, it's hit or miss, isn't it? This battalion, if you can get off those charges when you set up those units, that's good. Otherwise, it's been a big waste, really. So that's my sort of overall thoughts for the Marauding Brayher. And then going on to the next one, we have got the Hungarian War Herd, which obviously is more about the War Herd units. So the battalion is going to cost you 150 points, so 30 points cheaper than the last one. And then if we look at the organisation, it's a bit more simple as well, because we've got 1 Doom Ball, 3 units of Bulgors, and 1 to 3 Sigors or Gorgons in any combination. And then the ability is a very small one as well. It's called Blood Scent. So units from this battalion can move an extra 3 inches when they pile in. Now, when I first read this, I thought, this is pretty crap, because in all honesty, it's only really going to help out your Bulgors, because piling, it can help out, you know, single models and stuff to try and get them in range, but a lot of the time it's just to bring a big unit closer to the enemy so they can all attack when they pile an attack, essentially. And I don't believe that this will, you know, this won't let you pile in from 6 inches away from an enemy if you're not already in combat, unless it's been FAQ'd and it's been specifically stated. As far as I'm aware, if you're outside of 6 inches, you can pile in 6 inches. You can't do that unless it says that this unit can pile in up to 6 inches and be able to attack even if it's not in combat until it does that piling. So it's good if you're already in combat, essentially. And why I bring all this up is just because when I thought this isn't very good, it's because I looked, before I looked at the Bulgors, I thought, well, you know, I'm going to be giving them the great axes. They're going to have a 2-inch range, you know, obviously that'll probably be enough. Bulgors have all got 1-inch weapons, unfortunately for them. So really, with their massive base sizes, and if you want to take them in units of 6, they're going to all struggle to get into combat with 1-inch range for sure. Unless they're going against, you know, a beautiful front line of the enemy, they really are going to struggle. So the extra 3 inches there, if you really want to go for Bulgors, it could really really help with your strategy there. And also on that sort of note, if you want to go with you know, a War Herd army, you can make this a 1-drop. However, unless you're doing it thematically, going nothing but, you know, War Herd, probably not going to help you out. There's, you know, you will be missing out a few things, but you can do a 1-drop army. It's not just you know, a Sigor and one Doom Ball or something. You know, you can put your battle line in here with your Bulgor, so you can make it work. But you know, it is only War Herd at the end of the day. So that's my thoughts of this one. I really like it because I really like Bulgors, but to be fair, its ability I prefer over the last battalion we looked at, just because I really feel like if you're taking big units of Bulgors, which I would do, I really feel like the extra 3 inches would massively help with the piling. But is it worth 150 points? I'm not convinced with that, unfortunately. So looking at the next one is going to be the Thunderscorn Storm Herd. So as you can sort of tell with the Beast of Chaos Battalion so far, they all seem to be themed around a race within the Beast of Chaos, which is fair enough, and it makes it very thematic, but unfortunately it makes it not synergize as well with each other. But anyway, so the Thunderscorn Storm Herd is going to cost you 160 points, and its organisation is 1 to 3 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths and 3 to 9 units of Dragon Ogres. And the ability is Raging Storm. So in your hero phase, you can roll a dice for each unit from this battalion that is on the battlefield. On a 4+, you can heal 1 wound allocated to that unit. After rolling a dice for each unit from this battalion, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of any models from this battalion. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers a 1 mortal wound. Okay, so it's a way to heal your Dragon Ogres back up because they have a lot of health, and there are other ways to heal them as well, so it's just another way to do it. and you can do more wounds to the enemy. But it's 50-50. I really like Dragon Ogres. I think they look awesome. I love the lore. I just love the idea, you know, half ogre, half, you know, dragon, just this massive monstrosity beast that will wreck anything that it comes across. Unfortunately, just in game, doesn't really work like that unless you're a you know, a shag off. You don't really do that much in combat, which is what these guys do in the lore. But unfortunately, you use them as a bit of a staying alive. As I said when I sort of reviewed them, you take them. If the best thing to compare them against in this army for me, I'd say was Bulgors, and Bulgors were more killy, these guys were more tougher, but there are other things you can take to bog down the enemy and stuff and try and bunk on objectives over these guys, unfortunately. So their battalion really needed to help them out, and it really, in my honest opinion, it doesn't. Apart from keeping your Dragon Ogres a little bit more alive, I mean, you'll, throughout the game, on a good average, so not even the normal average, but on a good average, each Dragon Ogre unit will heal 3 wounds if they survive the entire game. And, you know, each enemy unit that's within 1 inch of your models from this unit. So you might do a few more wounds to the enemy, but really it's just not reliable enough for it to even if it was a 2+ you heal, I would say it makes it obviously a lot better, but it's still not an auto take. So I would say it's expensive for the abilities it gives, and yeah, really it's only a small benefit for the point sink. You know, you can have I can't remember how many how many points they are for a unit of 3, but if you really love Dragon Ogres, you could probably have another unit of 3 of these, or you just spend like probably another 20 more points, probably gets you the unit of 3. So yeah, for me, I want to like this. I want to like this as much as I wanted to like the Troll Battalion for the Gloomspite Git. And I said about that one, it's just not good enough. And I think with this one, it's an even worse case scenario of me wanting it to be good, and unfortunately, it's just not up to par. But like I say, with any of my thoughts throughout this, I don't actually play the Beast of Chaos army. I'm just reviewing it as sort of a outsider's view and someone who's been playing and knows quite a bit about Age of Sigmar. So if you guys have obviously been playing with Beast of Chaos and been playing with the Thunderscorn Storm Herd, and you want to tell me differently and you say that it can work in these scenarios, please let me know down below, because I really want this to work. But I just think it's just not good enough in my opinion. Unless you want to go really thematic with it, it's just not good enough. Compare this to the War Herd one, what we just looked at. That has a good use in the game. This one, it's not pointless. Like this will come into the game. It's not like, oh, it will never go off. It will go off at some point in the game, but the effects for when it does on the 50-50 are not that great. Also, you have to remember it as well, which I think after you fail this a few times, you probably won't. But anyway, so that is the Thunderscorn Storm Herd. So going on to the next one is the Desolating Beast Herd. So it's going to cost you 150 points, so not too much, which is nice. And the organisation is 1 Beast Lord or Doom Bull, 1 to 3 Great Bray Shamans, 1 to 3 units of Bestigors or Bulgors in any combination, 1 to 3 units of Gors or Tuskor Chariots in any combination, 2 to 6 units of Ungors or Ungor Raiders in any combination, and 0 to 1 Gorgon or Cygor. So you don't have to have 1, or you can have 1. And then the ability, so Bringers of the Wild. So if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a unit from this battalion that is wholly within enemy territory is a 6, that attack scores 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make a wound and save roll for each unit. Okay, so I'd say even same sort of time as when this book came out, there's a few examples, but by now there's far more examples of armies that do explode in 6s, i.e. when they get a 6 to hit, it turns into 2 hits, you make 2 wound rolls, as it's just said. A lot of armies can do that now, so being able to get your foot on the ladder of being able to be one of those armies that can do it, it does make a big difference. It's not a massive competition, you know, it's not like it's a trade-off, but it's it does help, especially if you're making a lot of low end attacks. But then again, if you're making like if you want to go with the Bulgors and they're managing to get some sixes to hit, that's going to be great, especially if they've got great axes, you know, high amount of damage there. So any extra ones, really good. Especially how I believe when I reviewed Bulgors, I said their wounding is pretty good, but their to hitting is not great. So if you manage to get the hits through, wounding pretty easy, and then, you know, with the Rend with the great axes and then the damage, lovely stuff. Nice to double the attacks on that. The other thing I wanted to say about this battalion is that it's a really nice way to sort of bring back that, not Beast of Chaos, but the Beastman feel of the world that was in Warhammer Fantasy. As I know, a lot of people, you know, kind of miss the old sort of fantasy style of how the armies work with each other, which is fair enough. We all like different things. This is a nice way to be able to do it, and I know you can legally do it anyway in Beast of Chaos. They can all come together, but this is a nice way for it all to synergize and sort of share abilities, which I think is pretty cool. And it can be a one-drop army as well. It gives you quite a few options. It doesn't just say that you can only be, you know, like a Brayher, a War Herd, or Thunderscorn. In this example, you can only be War Herd or Brayher with a I was going to say with a little bit of Monster Chaos, but you can't because Gorgons and Sigmars are of course War Herd. So it just allows you to mix. To be honest, it allows you to mix the two biggest races in this allegiance. And then what I've got for negatives is that you have to be wholly within your opponent's territory. So the only thing with that is it just means it's just something to keep in the back of your head. You might, you know, line things up perfectly, or you might be like nearly across the enemy line, but the enemies charge you, and you just have one or two like models that are just hanging in your territory, and if you can't pile them in well enough, then you're not going to get the benefit. But what this does support is the ambushing style. So if you go with the, trying to remember now because I reviewed it a little while ago, with the sub-legions, if you go the Dark Walkers, I think it is, if you go with them and they allow you to ambush with your War Herd units, I believe it is, and your Brayher units, then it's just going to help both of these guys, and you can stay up in the enemy's territory, and then being wholly within the enemy's territory isn't going to be a problem. You're already there. So obviously you have to then be able to charge into combat and stuff, but cross that bridge when that comes to it. So I think this is a good battalion. I like this battalion, and it's my favourite so far. It's my favourite out of the last three we've just looked at, and I think it's cool because it's very it just gives you more options of what you want to put in, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, like for example, if I look at the if you want to put an Ungor 8, you know, 2 to 6 units, loads of variety there. If you want to go, you know, Best of Gauls or Bulgors, you know, either or, you know, you can mix it, or you can just go one or the other, and it really depends if you want to go, you know, with the Beast Lord or the Doom Bull sort of. He's the first guy you pick, and then you decide how the rest of the army follows. So yeah, I do like this battalion. So looking at the next one, and this is actually going to take us to what I've named the Battalions of the Dark Gods. So this is of course your Khorne battalion, your Nurgle battalion, your Tzeentch battalion, and your Slaanesh battalion. So it's going to be a little bit different to the ones we just looked at. Pardon me. This is going to be... This allowed... We'll get into it, but it allows you to then take your Beasts of Chaos armies into different allegiances. It essentially allows you to bring your Beasts of Chaos collection and now use most of it in 4 different battle tomes, which is pretty cool. So with that, let us get to the first one. Just get a drink quickly. So we have got Khorne coming up first. So we have got the Brass Despoilers. It's going to cost you 180 points, so not really cheap. It's quite expensive. However, what is the organisation? There's a lot more text here, remember, but you know, we'll get a lot of it. You know, 2 paragraphs. There's lore, like I said, we're not going to mention, and a lot of it is just giving you options. So the organisation. So this is 1 to 4 heroes chosen in any combination from the following list: Beast Lord and Doom Bull. Might seem very few, but that's because most of the other ones are wizards, if not all wizards. And yeah, Khorne doesn't like wizards. You may think, oh, Shaggoth, that's like very brutal. Yeah, wizard. He's not going to like that, is he? And then, as you can see when we go into units, Khorne's number is 8, and we're going to see that reflected in how many you can take. So, starting with, you can have 3 to 8 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Bestigors, Bulgors and Gors. So essentially the combat orientated units, no Ungors. And then we can have 0 to 8 units chosen in combination from the following list: Centaurs, Dragon Ogres, Tuskgor Chariots. And then we can have 0 to 2 Cygors or Gorgons in any combination. So a lot of unit choice there, obviously, to choose from. To be honest, it's actually quite similar to the last battalion we just looked at, as you can mix a lot of War Herd and Brayher sort of units together. And then let's look at the actual important bit, which is the ability, which is a Martial Ferocity. So you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by units from this battalion while they are wholly within 9 inches of another unit from the same battalion. In addition, once per battle in your hero phase, you can choose to unleash this battalion's bestial rage. If you do so, until your next hero phase, you can re-roll failed wound rolls for attacks made by units from this battalion while they are wholly within 9 inches of another unit from this battalion. And then a very important thing to mention here, it says followers of the brass ball units from this battalion gain the Khorne keyword. Okay, so we'll just talk about that a bit quickly. That means that, like I said, you can now take these guys in a Blades of Khorne army. Boom, just like that. When people talk about how do you know, especially if you're quite new and you hear people mention like, how do you get Beasts of Chaos in a Khorne army? In this example, you hear people talk about how do you do it? You do it through this battalion. You take them this battalion, they gain the Khorne keyword. You can use them Blades of Khorne. So you can really make the most value, like money terms, you like out of what you've spent on your Beastmen, being able to say Beastmen, Beast of Chaos, and being able to use them in different, like I say, allegiances. So you get the most out of them. Right. Okay. So the other thing, like I've mentioned with, what I will be mentioning actually with the God Pacific battalions, is that easy unit requirements to fill. It gives you a lot of variety what you can take. Obviously, more combat orientated ones. However, with the Khorne one we'll see here, obviously, is that you can't take a Great Bray Shaman, which, if you're not taking loads of Brayher units, doesn't really matter, but it's so good being able to give your Brayherds that the extra movement it does, and also the spells, especially from the lore, is not bad. Of course, you can take this battalion and you can come back to the Beast of Chaos allegiance. You can take this battalion, then you can that doesn't just mean that's just your one part of your army. You can't have anything else that's not in this battalion in your Beast of Chaos army. Of course you can, but it's just if you want to limit your drops and stuff. So you would, I'd definitely add in a Great Bray Shaman on top of this, particularly if you're going with a lot of Brayher units. The ability for this unit, so the rerolls of 1s to hit, and then the rerolls of wound rolls when you do the bestial rage thing. I would say it's good. It's a nice ability, especially when we're hitting on 4s and stuff a lot in this army. However, as there's always a but, wholly within 9 inches is very small. It means that your unit sizes can't be very big. I'm even thinking like a unit of 6 Bulgors is gonna struggle to get in that. But imagine a unit of a max size unit of Bestigors or Gors or something. It's really going to struggle. So it makes you want to take minimum size units. And don't get me wrong, if you put a Beast Lord, because like I say they are really cheap. If you put one of those in the middle of a Bulgor unit or Bestigor unit, that 9-inch bubble, that wholly within 9-inch bubble, was actually quite big. Like, instead of if he's just the Beast Lord is just there, and you go 9 inches, that's not whatever. Let's say that's 9 inches, and you go that's not very big. You put him in the middle of the unit, then it is obviously the full circumference of that. So it really does literally double in size. So you can make it work. It's something I learned in my Nighthorn when I've been playing with that, is that there's a lot of abilities that are wholly within 12, which obviously 3 inches is a bit bigger, but put your hero in the middle of a chain master unit and it covers all, or put your hero between 2 chain master units and it covers both of them. So you just have to, it's a little bit of playing around, but the range here is small, but it's still workable if you want to take larger units, is what I'm trying to say. But what I really want to say with this, and I will be bringing this up with all of the God Pacific battalions, is that can you really call yourself a Beastman if you go God Pacific, as we've looked a lot of the lore for the Beast of Chaos, and really, if you dedicate yourself to one of the Chaos Gods, you know, you're doing it wrong. You know, you don't dedicate yourself to Chaos in one form of one of the gods, you do it as a whole. So you will be shunned by your fellow beastmen. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so Brass Borders, I like. It's a way for you to be able to take your Beast of Chaos obviously in a corner. You know, it's the only way. And the ability, I would say, is good, but it will take some time. Your first game, you're probably going to get your measurements wrong. You're probably going to get your movement wrong, so you won't. It's always synergize to get it off, but once you've tried it a few times, it'll just get better and better to use and more easier to play it, really. Okay, so the next one is going to be the Zeech one. So this is going to be, probably going to pronounce this wrong, should have practiced this before I recorded, Phantasmagoria of Fate. I'm going to go with that. So it's 180 points, as we can see here. So again, is expensive, but the organisation. So you have 1 to 4 Beasts of Chaos heroes in any combination. So that I was ready to read out a list here, but no, that's just fine, because you know Zeech obviously doesn't care if you're a magic, you know, user. If anything, he prefers it if you are. So, or actually for this battalion, it's better if you're not. But we can see there's no problem there. You can take whatever Beast of Chaos hero you like, which is cool. And then we've got 3 to 9 units chosen in any combination from the following list. That's obviously 9 is his number. So Vestigors, Gors, Zangors, Ungors and Ungor Raiders. And then you can have 0 to 9 units in any combination from the following list. So Bulgors, Centaurs, Dragon Ogres, Zangor Enlightened, Zangor Skyfires and Tuskor Chariots. And then you can have 0 to 2 Cygors or Gorgons in any combination. So obviously there is quite a few more unit options here for choice and stuff, as you have all the Zangor things open up to you, which of course is expected for Zeech. If Zeech couldn't have them in his battalion, it would be like, is that a typo? Why is that? Why is that a thing? So no, you can have all the Zangor units in there. Obviously, gives you a bit more choice. Enlightened are pretty. Skyfire is pretty good as well. Like I said, for assassin rolls, a lot of people use them, as a sledgehammer, but I think assassin roll is pretty good. Yeah, it just basically gives you a lot more choice. It makes you take your battle line units, and then you have your 9 units to choose from. As that's something I do want to mention. It's the same with the Khorne. I just want to double check that it's the same as the Khorne. So all you need for these battalions so far is 4 units hero in your free battle line. So you can make this a 1-drop army, or you can make this a tiny component of your army, depending on how you want to do it, which I think is pretty cool. So so with that, and then going into the ability, so Devourers of the Arcane. So it says units from this battalion that do not have the wizard keyword can attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard, if they are within 9 inches of the caster. And then it says Covens of the Changer. So units from this battalion gain the Zeech keyword. Again, that's very important for exactly the same reasons I said with the Khorne army, but instead of putting these guys in a Khorne army, you can then put them in the Disciples of the Zeech army. So I don't need to go all into saying why that's all good, because I've just explained it with the Khorne army. But it's your way of how you can take your Beasts of Chaos and put them in Zeech army. So the ability, if you're going against a lot of, it's one of those, if you go against a lot of enemy magic, they're a high magic casting army, that's great. However, you go against them and they're high casting magic army because they've got an Arcan or an Nagash or a Teclis or a Lord Croak, doesn't really make a difference, because unless you roll very high and they roll very low for their casting, you probably won't be able to unbind them anyway. You won't be able to beat their score. But if you go against, let's say, a Flesh Eater Court army, where unless they really specifically dedicate as many buffs as they can towards casting magic, their magic casting abilities aren't very good. However, their magic casting, their spells they want to get off are very good. So it'll be very good against armies like that. Against armies that can do good spells, but they don't really get much bonuses towards casting unless they go really hard on it. So yeah, that's the sort of thing it's good for. To be honest, I would like to have this, not for thinking, oh, your big blocks of stuff and your kitty stuff can unbind stuff. I'd just like to have some Tuskor Chariots, or can you have something? Yeah, like Centaur. A shame you can't have Chaos Warhounds, but Centaurs. Like I say, tactical unit anyway, just make them even more of a tactical and pain in the arse units by just making the enemy's magic unbind. If you can get a Tusk or Chariot to, you know, block off a little bit of the board with its massive base for what it is, annoy the enemy by bogging them down, attacking them, and then unbind one of their spells that they're relying on, you know, your opponent's just going to punch you in the face, but you know, it's a punch that's worth taking for being that much of a pain from a Tusk or Chariot. So I like this battalion for that, but I think it's expensive. If you go against an enemy that doesn't cast any magic, a Khorne army, Fire Slayers, I believe, more examples out there. This battalion, apart from getting that extra, you know, command point and the artifact and helping you drop, the ability completely useless. So it's one of those to bear in mind. But in your army and Beasts of Chaos, unless you go really hard with Great Bay Shamans and everything else, you're not really getting too much unbinding potential. So it would help towards that. But obviously, if you go against an army without any magic, it's going to be a little bit pointless. There's also, like I mentioned, easy unit requirements to fill, which is always nice. You don't think, oh, I have to take this and that one, I don't want to. You've got loads of choice. They're probably one of the biggest choice you can get in what you put in a battalion in Age Sigmar. And yeah, that's about it really for this battalion. The only other thing I want to say again is, like, can you really call yourself Beastman? And for the same reason said about the Khorne army, no, you cannot. Right, next one. So we've got the Pestilent Throng. So top points, you can guess which one this belongs to, especially on that picture. So this, of course, is the Nurgle battalion. So it's going to cost you 180 points, so the same as the other two God battalions we just looked at. And then looking at the organisation, so it's 1 to 4 heroes chosen in any combination from the following list. So Beast Lord, Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, Doomball, and Great Bray Shaman. So you may be wondering, why didn't it just say, you know, like all heroes from the Beasts of Chaos? Well, basically, comparing it to the Tzeentch one has the Zangor Shaman, I believe it's just called, or Zangor Great Shaman maybe, on disc, which obviously wouldn't really be the general for the Nurgle. It would just feel wrong. But anyway, so you have those heroes, and then you have 3 to 7 units chosen in any combination from the following lists. So Bestigor, Gors, Ungors, and Ungor Raiders. And then you have 0 to 7 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Centaurs, Bulgors, Dragon Ogres, Tusk or Chariots. And then you have 0 to 2 Cygors or Gorgons in any combination, like we've seen before. So very similar to the sort of last options you have there. And then looking at the ability, we have Atropic Deluge. So apologies about the pronunciation. But we have, if a unit from this battalion is destroyed, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 7 inches. On a 2 plus, that enemy unit suffers a 1 mortal wound. And then it says Vectors of the Plague God. So units from this battalion gain the Nurgle keyword. Very important, for, like I said, for Khorne and Tzeentch. This allows you to take your Beast of Chaos from this battalion and put it into a Mad King of Nurgle army. Pardon me. So looking at what I really think about this, so again, easy unit requirements. It sort of goes without saying now with these battalions as I've been going through them. It's the funny thing with this is that your Beast of Chaos units probably will die really easily, as they're quite crap. So, you know, with their saves anyway. So this means that at least when they die, something good happens. You know, as I've put here, you know, in death there is life, which I think is a Nurgle saying, or something along those lines. But here is where it is. This ability, I would say, at first does not look particularly amazing. I wasn't amazing. I was writing this one off when I was reading it. But if you think about, let's say a standard Age Sigmar army has 10 units in it. Let's say your Beast of Chaos army has 10 units, let's say. And let's say, you know, by the end of the game, 8 of those units die. And it goes on a 2-up. So, like, I'm not going to do mass hammer here and stuff. But let's say it went out, you know, it went off 6 out of the 8 times, roughly. And then that means that's 6 mortal wounds. And let's say there were 2 enemy units within range of the units that died and everything. So let's say that's 12 mortal wounds this battalion did to the enemy throughout the game. That's good by the end of the game. If you count it up, it'll be one of those things where if it goes quite well, you count up the enemy and go, oh, I actually did quite a few more wounds. But it's a slow burner. You won't realise at the time. You'll just be chipping off wounds here and there. Of course, you go against an army that can heal wounds really easily. Just wasted, in all honesty, this ability. But if you go against an army that can't really heal those wounds, and so they have a very good save normally, so mortal wounds is great. This will really help with that. It's definitely a slow burn. And I think I'm being quite generous when I say it could do 12 more wounds. But then again, is that really worth spending 180 points? I'd say take this. So you want to take your Nurgle guys in a Nurgle army, or you really, and this is something I can say of all the God battalions, obviously, is that if you really want to make your army thematic and stuff and loads of conversions, really want to show on the table, obviously it's a great way to do it. But I think you would need to test this out in a game, and just maybe 1 or 2 games, and just see the average mortal wounds it does back to the enemy. But the nice thing is on a 2-up. If it was on a 3-up, I thought forget it. But on a 2-up, means more than likely you're going to guarantee get it off. But just seems a little bit weak to me. But of course, I may be wrong and giving this a bit more hard press than it really deserves. But I think you would definitely need to try this one out. It's not as obviously as good as the other abilities we've read. So going on to the next one, and the last one is of course the best one, because this is the Depraved Robe, which Slaanesh is the best Chaos God, obviously. So this is why this is the best one. If you would like me to read it, I suppose I can as well. You know, if you really want me to. So it's going to cost you 150 points. It's even the cheapest. I mean, what's not to like? So organisation. A Depraved Robe consists of the following units. So 1 to 4 heroes chosen any combination from the following list: Beast Lord, Dragon Ogre, Shaggoth, Doom Bull, Great Ray Shaman. I'm just repeating myself so much now. And then you can have 3 to 6 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Centaurs, Gauls, Tuskor Chariots, Ungors, and Ungor Raiders. And then 0 to 6 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Bestigors, Bulgors, Dragon Ogres, and 0 to 2 Cygors or Gorgons in any combination. So let's see what the best battalion's ability does. So this is Covetous Fury, something like Fury was right. I don't know what the other word is. Right, so you can reroll hit rolls. Sorry, let me start that again. Finger of Corn. You can reroll failed charge rolls made for units from this battalion while they are within 12 inches of an enemy hero with an artifact of power. In addition, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models from this battalion that target an enemy hero with an artifact of power, and then marked by the Descendant Fiend. So units from this battalion gain the Slaanesh keyword is how you take on the Slaanesh army. So obviously I say this is the best battalion. That's just because Slaanesh is my favourite Chaos God. Very close to the Great Horned Rat, he's up there, but Slaanesh is definitely my favourite. It's how my Slaves Darkness army is themed. So, but on a more serious note, what are my thoughts of this? So, again, like the last ones, it's easy to fill this battalion. You can't take as many units because 6 is Slaanesh's favourite number, but I think, you know, up to 6 units is enough for each category, apart from the heroes. So ultimately, the charge buff is very good, and because it usually costs you a command point, and you have to be in range of your hero to be able to get that reroll charge. These guys can do it without. It works well with the Dark Walkers to get that reroll charge, and also the rerolls to hit is really good as well. Especially, like I said, if you're hitting on 4s and stuff, it's just great. Absolutely really good for that. Really does help try and get it off. The negative side. So, the abilities, like I say, I think they're my favourite, to be honest, out of all the God-specific battalions anyway, that we've seen for the Beasts of Chaos. Just because I think movement is really important, and again, that charge is super important for that. And being able to re-roll failed hit rolls, and it's not, you know, once per game, you can just do it, it's great. But the negative, what I'm trying to put off, but essentially you have to be within 12 inches of a enemy hero with an artifact of power, At least it's not wholly within 12, but you still have to be within 12. If they only have one artifact and it's on a guy who's basically protected and he's a wizard and you're not looking to charge him anyway, there might be... The worst that can happen, obviously, with this battalion is that the ability is just wasted. You're never in range of that hero. I'm just checking. You don't have to charge that hero, but just be in range. So that's something. But obviously, you have to target that hero to get the rerolls to hit. So it just makes it very difficult for it to go off. Unfortunately, I would say it's like I say it may never go off. It might be a waste, or it might not go off very well. But again, if your enemy has got a big Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, is a good example. Big hero, he's going to be on the forefront. He's going to be getting into the fight. It's probably going to be more relevant. If you go against if the artifact is on a, I don't know, I'm trying to think what they're called, but like a Moon Clan Shaman or whatever they are, for the Gloomspite Gits. It's probably not going to be the target priority, but I may be wrong. So I think it's my favourite ability so far, but it is also one of the hardest to get off, unfortunately. But I don't just want to say what I said for the Nurgle one, which was just play it a few times and see what happens, but maybe you just have to see how reliable. But that's not really it either. It just depends what army you go against. Sometimes it'll be good, sometimes not. But Slaanesh is the best Chaos God. So coming down to the bit where it says, can you really call yourself a beastman? In this example, yes, you certainly can. You can call yourself a superior beastman, I believe, and you would definitely be the alpha beast in any beast herd or any great bray or anything. So with that has come to the end of the video. I just want to answer a question in case you're thinking it, going, what about the great brays and stuff? How the Dark Walkers and the All Herd and stuff, and the Gavespawn, I think it's called. Why haven't I mentioned those? Those are like sub-allegiances. So I have actually talked about those in my, I think it was part 2 of the army series. So you've got the lore video, and then you've got part 1, and then you've got part 2. That was the sub-allegiances. So you can go check that out if you want to know that. What I wanted to also say is that if you guys, obviously agree with anything I said, and you want to talk about it a bit more, obviously let me know down below. If you disagree with anything I say, please let me know down below, as we are all here to learn. At the end of the day, I also would really, really appreciate feedback on the new way of doing this, how this isn't, apart from me doing the unit cards, this isn't edited. This is, as you can probably see from the picture, everything's worked properly. It's just been me sat here in a vest. I know I'm wearing a vest again, but it's bloody hot in England. It's something like 20 odd degrees in September. And I think wearing a vest is fair enough for going like all beast mode and stuff. But like I say, on a serious note, let me know if you like that, or if you'd like me to go back to how I just do editing and stuff, as it's a really new thing for me to try. I don't often put myself in the videos, so I'm a little bit unsure of it. But it'll just be great to hear, overall yes, overall no. I know I put up a poll, but it's still sort of early days with that poll and stuff, so I would greatly appreciate your feedback on that. And this video won't go up for a couple of days, so I know I'll have a better understanding there, but again, I'd still appreciate your feedback. So like I say, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please smash that like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. That massively does help me be able to make videos. Really helps try and progress on YouTube, and it's absolutely free for you guys to do as well. I want to say a massive shout out to my patrons who make it able for me to be able to continue the channel and make these videos for you all to enjoy. A massive shout out to them, can't thank them enough. If you'd like to become a patron, there will be a link to my Patreon on top of the description down below. You're more than welcome to check out. Don't feel like you have to become a patron or anything, but if you've got $1 or $2 to spare, it really does go a long way in helping me be able to produce these videos for you guys. But anyway, so with that, I am going to again thank you very much for watching this video. If you've got any questions, please let them down below, and I'll be happy to help you. And of course, until next time, remember to stay safe and everything, hygiene, everything is important. And until next time, of course, remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.